South Africa has a long and painful history of exploitation and dispossession, and it is deeply troubling that organizations like Afriforum continue to operate as though none of that matters. Their lobbying is going largely unchecked, and they use it to paint our country in a negative light on the global stage. They take every opportunity to exaggerate problems or misrepresent facts to attract foreign attention, whether from the United States, the United Nations, or other international institutions. And they do it with so little regard for how it affects ordinary South Africans. The consequences are real. When these false narratives are amplified abroad, our government faces pressure, investors hesitate, and the country's sovereignty is undermined. What makes this even worse is that the people behind these organizations often benefit directly from the systems that oppressed so many South Africans in the past. Their wealth and privileges are not earned in a vacuum. Much of it comes from the legacies of apartheid, from inherited property, businesses, and land. And yet, instead of using their platforms and influence to support initiatives that could improve the lives of all South Africans, they focus on destabilizing the country, on lobbying foreign powers and ensuring that their vision of society, one that keeps privilege concentrated in their hands, is imposed externally. That is not just selfish, it is reckless. And when you consider the intent and results, it begins to look dangerously close to undermining the nation itself. We cannot ignore it because every misrepresentation chips away at the ability of South Africans to live, work, and thrive in the country that we all call home. Afriforum's approach is fundamentally misguided. Instead of investing their resources and energy into education programs, local infrastructure, or partnerships that could strengthen communities, they prioritize influencing foreign bodies to enforce their ideas back into South Africa. And that is a deliberate strategy. They know that direction within the country would require compromise and cooperation, which threatens their vision of exclusivity and control. By going outside, they attempt to bypass the people and the laws of South Africa entirely. This creates pressure on the government from external actors who often do not fully understand the local context and who accept Afriforum's framing without scrutiny. The result is a situation where the country is questioned and pressured over decisions that are already lawful and aimed at addressing historical inequality. The audacity of it is staggering. They're effectively trying to rewrite the rules from abroad, claiming moral or technical superiority while ignoring the Constitution, the democratic process, and the people who actually live here. Their actions are not harmless. They distort policy debates. They distract from real solutions and sow division between communities, businesses, and government institutions. At the same time, they elevate themselves as defenders of a society they have not contributed to building equitably. The energy, influence, and resources they have could actually be transformative if applied towards practical in-country development projects, but they choose to weaponize their wealth and their networks to exert pressure, creating a narrative that South Africa is failing, which benefits no one except their agenda of maintaining concentrated privilege. What makes Afriforum's actions even more concerning is the systemic impact of their lobbying on South Africa's governance. When foreign governments, international organizations, or corporations rely on the information provided by these groups, decisions are made that affect all South Africans. Decisions that are often based on distorted facts or one-sided interpretations. This should be creating a chilling effect where our government must constantly defend legitimate policies or initiatives instead of focusing on real development and transformation. It slows progress, it frustrates investors, and it divides citizens. Meanwhile, Afriforum maintains the appearance of advocating for fairness and justice, but the reality is that their version of fairness is one that perpetuates inequality under the guise of protection. They are working to protect wealth, property, and influence that was historically acquired at the expense of the majority. They ignore the moral and social responsibility that comes with living in a post-apartheid society, where transformation and equity are not just legal requirements, but ethical imperatives. Their lobbying is not an abstract exercise. It has measurable consequences for education, housing, employment, and economic inclusion. They prioritize narratives that elevate their visibility abroad while leaving local communities under-resourced and unsupported. The frustration is compounded because they know the country has strong legal and institutional frameworks to promote equity, yet they choose to subvert them externally. This is not a matter of debate or preference. It is a clear choice to undermine, delay, and destabilize systems that aim to redress past wrongs. The question we must ask is accountability. How long will an organization be allowed to operate this way, using influence to manipulate perception and apply external pressure while ordinary South Africans struggle to access opportunities? There must be consequences that match the impact of these actions, whether through fines, legal action, or other measures that reaffirm the principle that no group is above the law. It is not enough to debate these issues quietly. Afriforum's actions affect every citizen by threatening the balance between private interest and public good. They must be held responsible for the way they weaponize information, money, and networks to undermine a country that has provided them with the opportunity to thrive. We need to insist that organizations with significant resources either contribute constructively within the country or face tangible consequences. The stakes are too high to allow continued lobbying that prioritizes self-interest over national interest. South Africans deserve a country where progress is measured by empowerment, inclusion, and equitable opportunity, not by the ability of an elite minority to control narratives and influence decisions from abroad. If we do not demand accountability, we risk normalizing this behavior and undermining the very foundations of the democracy we fought so hard to achieve.